clickers up there for her.
You will. And my clicker is on. So it works. I don't want to test yet. Yeah. I know women. The minute they get papers in their hand, they start reading. Not yet. Hi, everybody.
Hi.
A few people from yesterday had asked me a bunch of questions, so I'd like to just clean up that first quickly. Can you hear me in the back? That's number one. Okay. Can you hear me in the back? Okay, so that's how close feedback goes. All right. Do me a favor back. If you cannot hear, somebody just raise your hand when you can't. Okay? Good. Because if I talk loud here, they don't want to cup their hands. Okay, so one of the questions was, they saw a slide that said, I teach. And I'm staying in Kissimmee until about March 4th. So February 24th, I have a minister ordination class. It's a one-day class, etc. I would ask the people in Light Wing Center, which is our church, health freedom. Doesn't matter what other belief you hold. We respect all. But anyone who's in it or has an ordination or ministry with us, can you stand for a moment and let people see who you are? So they can go to you and ask questions. Diana? Oh, hi. So those people, and believe it or not, Christy, wherever she is, you can go to them and ask questions about it. And then I teach intuition, psychic development, and I'll be having a class the same evening. And anything else, if anybody's interested, just connect with me, because I'm in Kissimmee for another month or so. So that's it. Got it? lightwingcenter@gmail.com is light, one wing, center @gmail.com. And you can always just put the subject what you want, okay? That answers that. And PDFs, if you want them, I've got several requests, so I'm asking if there's a lot of them. I hope Christy is willing to give me the list rather than go through one at a time. Okay, so here we go. It's synchronicity. Everyone's talking about how everything affects us, what the mental framework really is, what neuroscience is, and how the impact. I'd like to just give you a quick view of how I see some things before I go to the slides. I think of the brain as why a computer came about, because that's how it operates. It doesn't judge. Input, output. The nervous system itself, the neurons, the pathways, are your software programs. So if you have a keyboard missing vowels and you have malware in your computer, how effective is it? Well, that is our, if you will, the form is the home in which a soul can reside while on earth. So to also clarify something to somebody who said, well, isn't this fortune telling or whatever religious belief you hold? I am a psychic, have been my whole life. I am a medium, been speaking to the dead and living. I speak to you, I speak to somebody you might see, you might hear, you might feel, you may not. Where does everything come from? Where does everything in this universe come from? Thank you. It's how you use it. It's a power. Everything is. You're an artist. You can use it to make beautiful things that move people's heart, or you can help frighten them. Your choice, my choice. So I use mine, and hopefully I use them as gifts. So hopefully people understand, yes, I'm clairvoyant, clairaudient, animal communicator, but everybody can be. And it's real. I'm not just saying that. Everyone has the gifts. If you have a functional brain at all, and you happen to have something called a pineal gland, then you have the potential and ability to operate it. You have a literal third eye inside. It's tiny like a rice bran, loaded with optical receptors. And it's called the third eye. It's operating like a video camera, absorbing light and breaking it up into whatever. So just a little clue that if you're not using Thieves toothpaste and you're not diffusing, frankincense and anything else you look at, your pineal may be a little dirty. Go look up fluoride and pineal gland and anything else. I'm not telling you the rest. I can't. There are certain things that's called no-nos for me. I gotta be careful of that. Okay. And I'm going to hang on to here. A little background, we all do know, and I didn't put up much of it because that's just what my work is. My long trip, my first husband was a neurophysiologist, scientist, surgeon, psychiatrist. Got a fellowship to study with men associates who did the split brain studies, Nobel Prizes. I learned about brain then. I also learned about what homicidal actions are. I am a result of an attempted homicide by him when I was pregnant. I was very smart. As the hands were around my throat and I knew it was moments away and I was 5 months pregnant, I did what any intelligent Brooklyn girl does. I pretended I was dead. I went limp. He thought he killed me. I frightened him after that. I did. Don't have to tell you what I said. But what I did when I woke sufficiently to stand and walked over to him, I made sure he understood, I don't know how long your life is going to be. And I left it at that. Before that, I was acquiescent in some ways, feisty in others. And, you know, Jim Bob really gave it to you in detail what adrenal gland does, what emotions do, what thought. I had already been severely traumatized by others, physically. So I had a lot to recover. I thought my life was the opposite of a crime scene. I was the crime victim many times by strangers, weird stuff. What I found was it put me on a path that brings me here. So you can look at it and go, oh, I'm so sorry. But as I talk to victims in my office, I just look at them and go, do I look depressed and sad? I've done a lot of work. I'll always work on it. But the work I mostly do about it is to help other people either recover or not go through it, which is why I'm a detective with a badge. No pension, but lots of wonderful feelings when I think of all the homicidal people I put away and all the rapists I help put away with the law enforcement I work with. It's cool, but wouldn't you like to do something? Whatever it is, wouldn't you like to focus on it and really get strong in it? See, I did that before I got into the oils. But the oils helped me get on television. You might want to know about that part. Okay. Yes, they did. They are why I became known throughout the world of the psychic detective world. Yeah, it's Young Living that did it. You focus on anything you like. With it, watch the magic. And he gave you everything you needed to balance and really understand the importance of change. So I'm going to just suggest, Dr. Ernst Sternglass was his protege who took his papers, and I worked with him briefly with the Lou Goodman Awards, which are the Anti-Nuke Movement Awards, and got to know him, and through him a little bit more about Albert. And I loved, it occurred to me by intuition, and music was the driving force behind that intuition. My discovery was the result of musical perception. Music soothes the savage beast. So on my personal website, nancyorlenweber.com, you'll see a slide on it. O-R-L-E-N, like Nancy, is my middle. It's my maiden name. On it, a blog, a gift of music for everyone. Without going into details about it here, it's free. Okay? It helps you stay bihemispheric, and it's from the original researcher, not everyone who co-opted it, with permission from the authors of who brought the researcher back. This goes back to the early 70s or late 70s, somewhere around there. When you're a certain age, they all mesh. So, this is just essential oil blend frequency. We have it all over. If you looked up this Young Living essential oil frequency, you'll see chart after chart. Now, I just want you to see something like magnify your purpose is 99 megahertz. We are, depends on the part of the body, we may be 10 megahertz, we may be 16 or 8 in different parts, but we're 62 to 68 overall frequency as humans. That doesn't mean that brings us up to that at all. Brainwave patterns, and yes, I'm giving you a little different take on everything he said that can still be applied to what he said. So when we're excited, we're totally in the conscious outer state. Subconscious, we don't hear, nothing else. We are not able to get into anything we'll call listening to our souls. I'll use that term instead of psychic because it's truer. We're sensing through our souls, which are always in receipt. Always. So, still an active one is beta, but still you're getting some things. When you're in alpha, theta, either one, that's when you start getting all the other perceptions. That's when your soul is louder than the noise. Than the noise. Got it? Because the noise is all what we call the monkey chatter, the mind, monkey mind. You know, and I, years ago, started doing something about that. Anytime I had it, when I started to really focus and decide I wanted to do something important, I had to shut the furnace, I had to take off the phone, I had to do all kinds of things to quiet, because the moment I had anything, I was out of it. I was back here. And I really wanted it. So, number one, at the time, I happened to have been disabled as a result of everything. Didn't have money. I chose no health insurance. I had kids. I was told wheelchair permanently. I decided to do one thing, because don't tell me what I can't do. Really? I'd look in their eyes and go, nope. And they go, what do you mean? I go, well, obviously you're not listening to God. Bye. And I'd walk out. So what I chose to do was go all organic. No money. So, no money. I formed a food co-op. And through that, I was able to afford the best food for my children, better than walking in with coupons for the crap. You can always find a solution if you're looking for one. And if you're not, then you're not meant to have it. But if you open those doors, you can never do anything unless you open those doors. You have to first make a commitment to a solution. Nothing happens without it. Okay, so did you know negative emotions? Well, now you do know if you were here this morning and yesterday for all the different talks that are all about this. So I love this part. A mother's brainwaves can synchronize to her baby's heartbeats even when they are a few feet apart. I want you to understand that. How many people here are nurses or have worked in hospitals? First, thank you, nurses. I love you. And Florence sends her regards. For those who don't know who that is, that's Nightingale. Flo, Flossie. Friends of hers call her Flo. Right? All nurses do. Okay, we learned co-breathing by the bedside. Did you? Anybody? Do you know what that is? Okay, if somebody's afraid and you are afraid for them, your breathing is going to synchronize to their breathing.
Right.
If you anchor in the light and whatever prayers you do and however you think that way, if you take that in and you know and you are drenched in belief that everything's okay, and you really have to believe that with everything you have. That's how you're tested. When you are tested that way and you can stand there and look them in the face of near death or comas. I've had several people come out of coma that way, and it was fun and funny. So one of them, about the year before, I think, I was at a neurologist in 1991. I had been paralyzed briefly, and it was brief. As the ambulance took me away, they looked at me sad, and I said, "What day is today?" And they said, "Monday." I said, "Good." They said, "Why?" I said, "Because Thursdays I go out dancing." And they were, "Oh." And I said, "I'm not saying it's this Thursday, but it's going to be, because they have live music and I love it." Came home 48 hours or whatever from ER, doesn't matter. But 3 months later, I have my MRIs at the neurologist, who's, "Get on your toes, turn around. How are you doing all that? I'd write a script for you." I said, "But would you tell anybody?" He said, "No." And that's why I'd never go back. So I had no sciatic nerve. I had only scar tissue. It was all gone. So anyhow, doesn't matter. Discs are gone. A year later, I'm going to perform a wedding on a Saturday. Monday, I get a call, go down to a hospital local to me, that the father of the groom has been in coma many months, and they thought I was a healer or something. Would I help? I said, "Of course I'll go talk to him." So I go in, have lunch with them afterwards, sit down and said, "Well, your father's very religious, so I'm going to wear clerical robes when I come back here Friday, and we're going to go through a run-through at his bedside. How do you know he's religious?" I said, "Because I spoke with him." "He's up?" "No. But he's there." So I go to the bedside, I hold his head with one hand, read our tailor-made script. As the bride is saying her vows, Daddy wakes up, looks around, goes, "Who are you?" I said, "I'm the minister for your son's wedding." He said, "But where are we?" I said, "We're in a hospital. You hit your head months ago." I didn't say months ago. "You hit your head." He said, "When?" I said, "I have to go." So, meanwhile, the son goes running out. "He's awake, he's awake." They come back. I'm walking out. His neurologist comes walking in. Can you guess who? That's how I feel. I just felt, oh, good. You got what you deserve. Now go figure it out. Anything is possible. That's my point. Anything is possible. And guess what? I didn't know how to do it. I didn't go to a school. You take a leap of faith, and not always do you come out with anything that makes any sense. So what? However, Jim Bob gave you a clue, big one. If you don't write it down, it will not be a program inside you. And I'm not talking computer. I love my computers. I type fast, I love it all. But if I want something to really happen, and Gary Young, who wants something to happen, everything is written down on paper. He writes on legal paper, long paper. Write it. I don't care if you like it or not. It has nothing to do with it right away. Well, not liking it is just resistance to helping oneself. I have to hear that for myself about something else right now. Wait.
That was a good one. Say that.
I know, unfortunately, very good for me too. Definitely. So, those were the quickly moving moments, and at 13 months old, my son had 108 fever from something I'm not going to discuss. I think many people will know what that is. And I went to a hospital quickly, and they wanted to give him some medication, and I said, "You didn't ask me if I'm a nursing mother." So out we go to the next hospital, who said, "Any allergies? Are you a nursing mother?" because I am deathly allergic to anything from penicillin. Mold, I get the reactions, everything. So I always know when there's mold. Okay, what I did was number one for everything we do for success. Deep breathe. Watch your breathing. I'm serious. You get upset, what's the first thing you do? When you're in pain, what's the first thing? And tighten up. Exactly the opposite of what works. Everything is deep breathing, or it doesn't happen. Oxygenation counts. Where does it go? Brains, a few other important places. Blood, lungs may need it, right? So frequency, I'm going to give you, as Christy said, a little bit different way, but he's giving you the science. We perceive frequency as sound waves, as pitch. The musical notes correspond to a particular frequency. That's how they measure them. The substance with a higher frequency can raise a lower frequency to the principle we call entrainment, the tendency of two oscillating, right, bodies to lock in phase creates harmony. So if they're not, this principle is key to understanding why essential oils work with us. We're in harmony with them. Not that they're 97, I'm 68, now I'm going up this way. That's why we go up. They are not discordant for us. That's why some music will bring us down and some will bring us up. That's why essential oils that have any impurities whatsoever can bring us not up. You get that? That's why no fragrance is no crap. So when something vibrates at any dissonant frequency, it produces chaotic or incoherent frequencies. Everything that is non-biological, and there are certain biological things that do that, but non-biological, meaning synthetics, will all do that. There's not one that won't. So I want you to think of how many people we know of or don't know of, but we use everything for one reason. They trusted their intuition, they trusted their dreams. You ever have dreams you write down or remember? Albert Einstein, his famous line, the intuitive mind is a sacred gift, the rational mind is a faithful servant. And somebody writing about him stated, actually, we have created a society that honors the servant and has forgotten the gift. Dr. Roger Sperry, who did the split brain studies back in the 60s, maybe 50s, even in the 70s, got his Nobel Prize, said, modern society discriminates against the right hemisphere of the brain. So, ancient Greek scholar Archimedes had his eureka moment with taking a bath. Arthur Fry came up with the idea of post-it notes while singing. Now it's making sense to you about frequencies? When you're in harmony, you let everything up. You listen to the soul teaching you. And we're always being taught. And Otto Loeys, one of the fathers of neuroscience, discovered nerve impulses were transmitted chemically in a dream. So why wouldn't you record your dreams? If you think that you're not as good or smart or deserving or whatever or special as anybody mentioned or anybody you know, think again or don't think. It's dangerous. Do not think, because that's just your conscious mind saying, who are you to think you can do anything? Doesn't work that way. If you ask me when I was younger what I can do, I had no self-esteem. I was painfully shy. I was so violated. I didn't believe that anything I said was worthwhile. I would hide from people. Come on. We work on ourselves, but also we take the risk of going inside. There is nothing there to be scared of. It's wonderful the deeper we go. It's incredible. You have the infinite resources, not at your fingertips, not in touch, in quieting. And quieting the chatter by simply giving it some kind of image to put it in a bag and a ship out to sea, anything that you feel will ignore it like you would ignore some things that you can't stand being near or hear. Same difference inside. So it's the faculty of knowing something. How many of you have kicked yourself, besides me, for not trusting your intuition? Okay, so my story about my almost, the murder that didn't succeed, I didn't trust my intuition when I married him. Now, I had already predicted deaths, life, births, moments, all kinds of things since I was, 2. What does that tell you? It tells you we don't have 100% of everything. It's not meant to be. Some lessons are meant to be. And sometimes we simply need to ignore it to learn not to ignore it. I hope you resonate with that part. So if you don't trust it, that's a lesson we're learning to trust it, because we kick ourselves for not trusting it afterwards. However, if you wrote down everything, or you're tuning in and your mental conversations with people that you don't pick up a phone and check out or anything, you're just having that with them to resolve things or miss them or whatever. If you wrote down their date and time and what it was about for quite a while, it's a 21-day circuit to keep the consistency, and then it's just multiply that 21, 21, 21 until you have a pattern down. But if you wrote that, which I did for 3 years, that's when I realized we're all connected, because you were on my mind. I hadn't spoken to you for 2 years. How did I know you had just gone to church for the first time in 11 years? Oh my God. I would go back and write, yes, this was true. And this she has no idea about. You have to be willing to look at all of it and realize every philosophy and every religion is right. Everybody and everything is connected to everything, right? So intuition always increases with self-esteem, healthy attitude, overall well-being, young living oils, and keeping track of some of them. It's a feedback system. So I'll go into Young Living Oils. Right. Okay. There you go. You're welcome. I'll get out of your way. Can you all get that? You can't. People on that side cannot. But I can PDF it, or if there are a lot of people, I'll ask Christy to take it over to you. Okay? Can I go on? Thank you. Never mind. There we go. Nikola Tesla, if you don't know who he is, some people will know him very well now, some won't. We have light, thank him. Not Edison. Edison did parts of it, but Nikola Tesla saved the buildings from being blown up by direct current. Okay, my brain is only a receiver. In the universe, there is a core from which we obtain knowledge, strength, inspiration. I have not penetrated into secrets of this core, but I know that it exists. That's his interpretation. Awaken oil. I want you to know, you can take the pictures of what it says. Awaken is the one that I spilled, and I may have mentioned yesterday. I spilled about, I'd say about 40 drops on myself by accident. And I just poured it all over, and I had the best day ever. If you ever saw my desk when I'm in the middle of a project, I ignore everything else. I am very focused to get my goal. And I'll look up weeks later, cringing at the pile upon pile upon pile upon pile, neatly stacked. So, I went through the whole thing in one day. I cleaned up about 6 months worth of stuff. course I use awaken, right? So sometimes if we use awaken with gratitude and live your passion as one of the groupings, and then focus on the meaning of that for you. Everybody's different about everything. So you have to really consider your focus. Gary Young uses emotional oils every morning and lots of them. That's what he relies on. Every morning, I like to anoint myself first, do my prayers, and then write. And not every morning do I write, because sometimes we're here and we're running around. And I still love it. And I still carry around a book in order to get to it. So I'm planting seeds in myself even when I cannot do something. It's important. Now, believe with hope and surrender is, for me, let go of the controls you cannot control. Learn to let go of them. Intuition is really a constant flow. You know, as he said about how that brain works and the nervous system works, it's constant. It is always seeking. And if you oxygenate well and you're calm and you're in a state of grace, if you will, inside you, then you will lift yourself up to listen to something that would be perfectly suited to you, because it's your energy. Years ago, there was a book, the first one that Gary Zukav wrote, Seed of the Soul, Dancing Woolly Masters, W-U-L-I, which is interpreted as masters of the patterns of organic energy that are unique, basically, to each of us. We're all patterns of organic energy. Pretty cool. Achieve success with highest potential and abundance. Depends on what you think about what abundance is. Universe is totally abundant, isn't it? So why would anybody worry about resources? Think about it. Why would you worry about resources? Why would you be concerned, I don't have money, I don't have this, I don't have that, or whatever? There is an abundance of infinite wisdom, and in that infinite wisdom that always flows, and infinite love, the details become suited to your soul as it flows into you. Different from the next person, the next animal, the next anything. We're all getting it. It's why some animals are so psychically attuned or telepathic, or call it whatever you want, to the energy of the others. They don't argue the point of, oh, I can't do that, or it's against my beliefs. No, there's nothing about it with your beliefs here or there. You stop and think, either you are a soul or you're not. So whatever beliefs you hold, your soul will still exist, and either you listen to it or you don't. Pretty simple, I think. And there are a few other things we can do, and that's a gratitude prayer that I use occasionally. Thank you for the abundance of your infinite love, wisdom, compassion, and kindness that flows as its highest potential into my life and through me to all of life. And I use that also about abundance again and again. May the abundance of your infinite wisdom, love, compassion, prosperity, I'll throw in sometimes, and anything else, and all the abilities for each and every being to heal, to relieve their suffering, to lift themselves, to have food, etc. And I go on sometimes forever because I love it. I get higher and higher. That's what oils do. They bring it out. They bring our soul out. Limited thinking or total connection, because it's very difficult to hear your intuition when you're flooded with stress hormones. Sound familiar from this morning talk? I know when I work with law enforcement, if they don't know me, I have to help them understand how this functions. And so I tell them, I am now part of your team temporarily. I am not it. I am a piece of it. So things may come to me, and they will be like a piece of the puzzle. And it may be a good one, a piece you can use, and a piece you don't know, and maybe later you can, and maybe it means nothing. I have no idea. However, when I do work, whether it's going to the crime scene fresh, or looking in the evidence room, or the autopsy, whatever, I said, I will look like the ice queen. Do you know why? If you get emotional, you can't do the work. But that's so true with everything you love. Think about it. If you're worried about how that piece of art will come out that you want to do, you'll mess it up, guarantee it. If you're worried about, I can't write. If you're taking a test, I'm nervous, guarantee you won't do as well taking it. Right? We all know that. It's the same thing. It is not different. You have to be in that particular space where you let everything come through and not be afraid of what comes through. Not be afraid of what comes through. Underline, underscore. People will say to me, oh, I'm too sensitive to do that. Really? You don't think I'm sensitive? I beg to differ. I'm sensitive enough to feel the soul of the murderer, the victim. What do you think that is? So it is empathy for all, and you have to have it in order to gain the information. You can't gain information from someone who wants that door closed like a steel trap. You have to be connected. But look at the news. I'd rather participate, make a difference, than watch the news.
Amen.
Yes. So success is a feeling. 99% of who you are is invisible and untouchable. If you don't know Buckminster Fuller's work, you may want to. Mathematician, speaker at the UN, philosopher. He was a great guy. And he said something that matters, and in Young Living, we all know this, that integrity is the essence of everything successful. Ethics and integrity. So what has that all got to do with intuition? Intuition seen with the soul, Dean Koontz. Intuition leaps straight from the problem to the answers. Now, mind mapping may free up the resistance to success by releasing concretized limited beliefs. I have handouts to take home. And they are to take home because we don't have, I don't know how much time we have right now. Christy?
15.
Right. So the easiest thing is, if possible, maybe she'll pass this out. Maybe some people can pass these down after I speak.
Oh, you don't want them now?
No, because they're going to just use them. No, that won't work if we're going to cover everything for them.
It's not your first rodeo, Nancy?
No, it's not my first rodeo. Oh, I don't care if there are 2 women in the room. I don't give them any handouts until we're ready. Read. Look, pictures. You know, we're all visual. So, Leonardo da Vinci, I have read a lot about him, and I love the books on him. And Michael Gelb is a great writer about 7 ways to think like Da Vinci. He is the great mind mapper. What he did on his inventions, if you look at any of those sketches, there are 2 things prominent. Sketches and words, right and left hemisphere, linear and non-linear. So imagine what would he have accomplished if he had oils? I don't know. Among other things he did.
Wow.
So using intuition creates much more creativity, better at solutions. It eliminates a lot of the patterns of fear. When Gary introduced mind mapping, it was in New Jersey when Galen Green became a diamond. He asked her what she wants it. So he created his version of mind mapping, which I'm going to hand out at the end. Okay? You can all have. And I was gold, I don't know how many years Dick and I were gold, maybe 3-4 years. And we basically had the same check every single month, within a few $100s. And we did the mind mapping. And this is how patterns change and work. When you can free up the resistance and release it, you don't know that instantly. You only know it when it's applied. That was in March of that year, whatever year that was. And at the end of March, that was the beginning, at the end of March, we were platinum. What does that tell you about mind mapping? It works. It absolutely works as a way of doing. So follow everything that it says in it. I have everything listed, the oils and how to do it. So the blessings of heaven and earth manifest. You're welcome. And if anyone wants a Zoom on that, just contact me. We'll set up dates for a Zoom mind map. So make copies of this. That's why I don't want you to use them. I want you to take them home, make sure you have copies so that you can do classes with them too. Okay? Good. If you apply Magnify Your Purpose over your heart chakra or temples, and what is left on your palms can be infused, and cup your palms over your nose and breathe deeply for 1 minute. A lot of times we really have to focus our intention before we do something. So get out an oil, take a moment, whatever that oil is that comes to you, you have to focus with intention. So if you really want to get moving, or you think that your intuition needs to be developed, or you already developed, you really have to have it to be successful. You know, studies have been shown on CEOs worldwide, and when asked how they did it, they go, by the seat of our pants with a bunch of hunches. Because all the algorithms in the world and all the stats in the world cannot tell them what's ahead. They can surmise and be okay and right, but if you ask the clothing industry, they don't ever know. They don't. And there are many industries that while they think so, they don't really know. They're hoping. So intuition and knowledge work beautifully together. So we apply also, you know the LC point? New people may not, but it's soft. We never apply with pressure. Always soft. There's an indent between the occipital ridge in the back and the first vertebra. There are 1,000 nerves back there, and they're not sheathed, they're not covered, no protection. So you always lightly clockwise circle, just 3 times, and you don't rub again and again. Just 3 times usually does it. So, you want me to go back? There you go. You have a moment with this one, and then we're moving on because we don't have a lot of time. Okay, so with the EO, intentional focus, I want you to go to the whole thing of what it takes to get you in that moment. The connection you have, not only here, in the earth, the grounding, everything that has brought you here. Take a few moments and you anoint yourself and you focus on the meaning of the choice of what you choose. And do that routinely. Take a moment. You're in a hurry? I don't think so. Not if you want real change. Take a deep breath and think about what you are putting on. And when you do, I want you to observe. I want you to notice, because if you notice, it will have greater impact on you. So I will quickly tell you the TV story. Back in, 80s or so, I always wanted to be Nancy Drew and a writer. I did. And it was far-fetched for me completely. And I met somebody, and fast forward, she was the founder of International Women's Writing Guild. It's a nonprofit with the New York Foundation of Arts or whatever. Anyhow, she asked me to come one day to their week-long conference at Skidmore College and teach. And I said, I'm not a writer. But I always pretended in my mind that I was this writer, looking outside a cabin in Maine, looking at the ocean. Or on the beach. Either one would do. And those would be where I would go when I wanted to be happier. My mini vacations in my head, we all had them. And so I did that. Well, when I got there, she laughed and she said, no, I want you to teach them how to be intuitive and psychic. These were some of them very formal writers, editors, publishers. And okay. So I did. Well, one of the workshops I attended said, we need a title for your book. I don't have a book. You have to figure what you want to write about. Well, I thought, the only thing I really know a lot about is crime. Being a psychic detective. But I never told people because it was different and weird. And it made me Again, separate from everybody. Totally separate, like I always was. So I decided I had nothing else, so I would just say that. They said, oh, fiction. I said, no, nonfiction. They said, nonfiction? I said, yeah. They said, you're a psychic detective? Yeah. For real? Yes. Oh my God, you better write that book. So I wrote a terrible first book. And I interviewed the cops that I worked with, well, not cops, only detectives, whatever. And I interviewed all of them to be accurate, and I put them in the book. And we did 1,000 copies, and we sent it nowhere. And I told my clients about it, and they would buy it, and they loved it, and they thought it was great, and I thought it was horrible. It was such a bad writing, and it had so many errors. It was disgusting. But I had to tell the story, and I realized one thing from it. I couldn't keep it in me. So many years go by, and I rewrite it with a little artwork that I did, it doesn't matter what, and little sayings and exercises for the soul. And apparently somebody picked it up and handed it to somebody who was a production company in New York who was contracted with Court TV. This happened around January 2004, because in December 2003, I secretly meaning I told nobody, my husband or anybody, what I was getting. I loved the oils, got it, but when I saw words like abundance and highest potential and all the rest of them, I had no clue how that could possibly be. How do you name them that way? I got them anyhow. I didn't want to open the book. I didn't want to know how you use them. Pathetic. So I put abundance over my solar plexus, my root chakra, my heart chakra. I put highest potential. I knew highest potential. I had smelled it. It was the first one I ever smelled, and I went, it's going to my pineal gland. I love it. It's cleaning it. And then it's going down. And my girlfriend said, that's what Gary said. And I said, who's he? The founder, for those who don't know. I had no clue at that time. But this time, when I got it, I was putting it on my temples, my third eye, my crown chakra, and I went into my gratitude prayer, which I would do every day, except it wasn't 3 minutes or 4 minutes. Half hour later, I'm going, oh my God, I don't ever want to get out of here. 7 days in a row. Now, I had worked a lot on not being a victim, and part of that, I understood, was the lack of balance of time and money. Anybody ever have that? You may have time, you don't have the money. You have the money, you don't have the time. That familiar to anybody here? Okay, well, 7 days later, Court TV's production company, they called up. Within days, they took it. However, another call came a few hours later from a state TV company, To Your Natural Health, Dr. De Silva. Oh, last year we asked you to come, then we canceled. Could you come this time? I said, sure. Now, this is January. I had no psychic readings. I had no mediumship. I had nothing other than maybe terrible things, but no money. And I had been homeless years before, but I learned that you get through. You just get through. It's okay. So, and I'm thinking, how could abundance and highest potential bring things about? Yeah, but I'm not getting paid, and it doesn't really matter. It's fun. January's boring. I clean closets and organize drawers. This is at least something I get to do and meet new people. That's nice. Wasn't thinking about business and young living at all. Far from it. So then I get a call, 20 years, and I mentioned it yesterday on ponies, show ponies, that I had worked with 20 years by phone, and now they're flying me down to Virginia and then flying me to Toronto and paying me whatever I name. I hung up and went, oh, I don't know that I can say this. No, I can't, actually. Okay, so based on anything you want to examine about what can happen with essential oils, and you can go look or talk to your neighbors or whatever, I knew the repair work was done. I was going to have time and money at the same time. First time in my life. And that was an amazing thing. And I went, how did he understand that? How did Gary do that? know what we need. This is shockingly amazing. So I wanted to meet him. So I used a lot of oils. And serendipitously, because of what I do, I met somebody who was their director of their clinic, who introduced me to Mary, and Mary and Gary, and we became friends, and I am totally blessed. That's what happens with abundance and highest potential for me. For you, it may be others because of what your circumstances. It's the intuition takes the leap in choosing what oils are right for you. So we can give you structure. I can give you these papers, Gary's list of what to do and what oils to use. And yes, they may be effective for you and maybe not. I want you to consider either way. Okay, seconds, bye. There you go. So everything is in here. You're going to get the PDF. I'm giving you 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, less than that. This is, you're getting all of it. You're getting all the things. This is the mind map. You're going to learn how to use it. And everything is written down here. Everything is written down. Okay? So, positive ideas clockwise. What I want to get to is, and I have to just quickly say to you, read a story on Queen Esther, intuition and essential oils. She saved her people, and that's why the Jewish religion has I was born Jewish, but don't ask me what the things are. I have no clue. I don't. My husband knows more than me, and he was raised something Christian, but I can't remember what. He knows more about it than I do. But they have a celebration because she saved the Jews, because she was bathed in oils to give her courage. Thank you, Purim. I think my Bubby will be very cheap Nash. Love was the most powerful thing she taught me. So beginning breath. So if you wanted to do things with partners to develop intuition, you choose a partner and you have someone hold the thought or image, person or animal, and you take 3 deep belly breaths. You let go, you let go, you let go. That's all it's ever about, is letting go. When you let go, you have to trust. The moment you are with another, you are in receipt, and so are they. So always center yourself. Always anoint. Seriously. Every time I work with anybody, I am anointing first. I am saying a prayer first. It becomes the fabric, the consistent fabric of belief. And then I let go, because what if you're right or wrong? So what? You cannot judge how the other person receives what you say. Your job is, whatever it is, to help another person when you're growing young living, is to give it to them sincerely and truthfully and honestly, and to use your heart and soul and let it guide you. So if you don't want to say anything, trust that. If you want to talk forever, trust that. If you want to walk up to a stranger and you're compelled to say something, trust it. If you're compelled not to say a single word, trust it. You must build up the trust inside to let the intuition freely run. It won't always be right. And if you can do that, there is a feeling of inner peace when you're guided by it, because that is your soul, and you are finally listening frequently. I think you can say that everyone who is successful in young living, Gary starts it. From the corporate to distributors in the field, all have the same thing in common. It is consistency, but it's consistency of also being drenched in belief. And we must believe in ourselves so that we can believe and take it, so that others can feel the authenticity coming from us. If they don't feel that, they're going to back away, and that'll be it. So you're going to get all of this on partners in a PDF. Conclusion, you always notice all of it. And they don't have to be with you. They can be anywhere in the world. So you can play. And if Skype doesn't work and you can't reach them that way, close your eyes, picture them, think of them, love them, and come authentically to them. Then when you have the opportunity to be with them, you're like old friends. And it's amazing. Job interviews, same thing. Before you go. Doesn't matter what it is, first time. So this is the information on my classes. If you are interested in anything, just connect and I'll help. Okay? So thank you.